Michigan Senate race, Abraham, the Republican, wins. That's another pickup for the Republicans. Our CBS News estimate is that when all the votes are in and counted in Michigan, that the Republican, Spencer Abraham, will have beaten the challenge of Bob Carr, a 10-term congressman for whom Bill Clinton poured himself into this race. It was not to be. This is another pickup for the Republicans. So now the Republicans do have a net pickup of 6. They need a net pickup of 7 on the whole night, and they will control the U.S. Senate. Out there is that Arizona Senate race, which the Republicans expect to win, but they have not yet won that Arizona race. Now, 35 races for the United States Senate up tonight. The Republicans need to win 20 of them in order to claim the U.S. Senate. The states in red are where the Republicans have won. You will notice the states that are flashing in red are where the Republicans have picked up. They have now just picked up the Michigan Senate seat that did belong to the retiring Don Regal, a Democrat.
Well, back here in Michigan, the same story unfolded. The Republican Party proved to be the big winner here as well. And John Engler gets to keep his governor's title for another 4 years.
And I especially want to thank every one of you for over these last 4 years, never lost faith, never gave up. Everyone who believed, even when the going got tough.
Republican incumbent John Engler easily defeated Democratic challenger Howard Wolpe, pulling in more than 60% of the vote. The governor says the people approve of his penny-pinching agenda by trying to cut taxes and limit government. And no more behind-the-scenes work for Spencer Abraham. The former Michigan GOP chairman and aide to Dan Quayle is headed to the U.S. Senate, beating Democratic challenger Bob Carr for the seat. Carr, who spent 18 years in Congress, can't see how a newcomer can take over the seat being vacated by Democrat Don Regal.
At some point in the next 2 years, the American voter is going to realize what the president's been saying in the last 4 weeks very forcefully, I think, and that is this country is a lot better in the last 21 months than it was in the 12 years before that.
Abraham becomes Michigan's first Republican senator in 22 years.
Spencer Abraham is also riding the Republican tide that's sweeping the nation. He's Michigan's first Republican senator in 24 years, actually. He's always worked on state political campaigns, but this was his first run for office. Abraham captured 52% of the vote to Democrat Bob Carr's 43%. TV2's Bill Gallagher picks up our team coverage now with a look at Michigan's new U.S. Senator.
Thanks for your help. We will get it done. Thank you very much.
Senator-elect Edward Spencer Abraham is a Lansing native whose grandparents came to this country from Lebanon. He's 42, a Harvard-educated lawyer whose passion for politics is rivaled by his love for baseball. He's worked as an operative and strategist in the Michigan and National Republican Party. But Spence Abraham is not part of the Republican Country Club set. Abraham's background is middle class, and his first post-election day stop underlined his blue-collar roots.
And this is the auto plant where my dad used to work for about 20 years on the line when it was the old plant, and he was in the UAW, and we just thought this was a great place to come and start to say thanks.
Abraham served as Michigan Republican chairman and as a top aide to Vice President Dan Quayle. His skills with political numbers and photographic memory made him a valuable Republican functionary, but he insists his partisanship will fade in the Senate.
Shaking up Washington was my campaign theme, and that's what I intend to do. And I will shake it up, whether it's Republicans or Democrats in the way. My goal is to try to help the folks back here.
As a Republican, Spencer Abraham will represent Michigan and Washington at an opportune time as his party takes control of the U.S. Senate.
And that's great for Michigan because it means I'll be down serving in the majority side, and that I think can help us to fight for the taxpayers of our state a little more effectively.
Abraham was most effective in his long, quiet, and methodical quest for the Senate, and he says the campaign experience helps him.
Traveling around at the grassroots level, talking to voters in all parts of Michigan, I think I have a very good understanding of the concerns they've got. And
Spencer Abraham awaits the judgment of time. In Lansing, Bill Gallagher, TV2 Eyewitness News.
Well, the GOP faithful were prepared for a long wait last night, but Spencer Abraham's Senate victory became apparent even before midnight. I was there last night, of course, at the Lansing Center when Spencer Abraham got the good news, and we are delighted that the senator-elect can now join us live with his wife, Jane. Congratulations once again, Mr. Abraham.
Thank you very much.
One thing last night did was able to allow you to be able to put the kids to sleep a little earlier.
Well, we're excited about everything that happened, and we're very grateful to the people of Michigan for giving us the chance as a family to get down to Washington to serve the people.
Well, now, you've worked on a lot of successful campaigns. This is the first one for your own candidacy. And you, of course, have been closely identified as a Republican operative for years. How are you now going to be able to assure all the voters of Michigan that you're going to work for them?
Well, obviously the job of a senator is to serve the interests of the people of the state, and I intend to work hard to do that. I think that the agenda I talked about during this campaign was one that appealed not just to Republicans, but to voters of all stripes. And I am extremely confident that the vote of confidence I got last night will translate into good news for people in Washington, across our state when I got on to Washington.
We've heard today from the president, last night from the new Republican leadership, each very tentatively extending the olive branch, saying, well, we're going to try and compromise, but we're going to compromise on our terms. What do you think that you and the administration are going to be able to compromise on?
Well, I think with the Republican Senate majority, we're going to be moving an agenda of cutting the size of government, reducing taxes, some of the things that I believe the voters, not just in Michigan, but across America, want to see happen. That's why we had this dramatic change in the composition of Congress. And I think the president probably read the same results the same way, and hopefully he'll be supportive of these changes. But look, I'm not going down there to fight. I'm going down there to try to give hardworking middle-class families in Michigan a little chance to keep a little more of what they earn, a chance to restore a little more pride and dignity to their families by being able to provide more for their families. I think that agenda makes sense for America.
Okay, we're short on time, so I'm going to try and go through a couple of questions here very quickly if we can. Number one, people want to see taxes cut. They certainly want to see government spending brought down, but how do you do that without affecting things that they really care about, like Social Security and Medicare, for instance?
Well, you know, in the 1960s when John F. Kennedy cut taxes, and in the 1980s when Ronald Reagan cut taxes, the revenues collected in Washington actually went up. I think that will happen again. It was not a problem of not insufficient taxes. It was the problem is that we keep letting spending get out of control. And one of the priorities for me is going to be to get down there and cut some of these unnecessary spending programs, either eliminate some of these things or at least scale them back. The Congress of the United States alone has quadrupled its cost of doing business just in the last 20 years. I don't think we have to spend that much to run Capitol Hill, and I think a lot of the other departments and agencies can be effectively cut as well.
Quick answer here. You were closely allied with Dan Quayle for a time. All of the GOP wins last night suggest that his candidacy now may be viable for presidency in 1996. What do you think?
Well, he and I are close friends, certainly, and I think very well of him. But we just finished an election, so I've decided to hold off speculating about the future campaigns just to savor our success for a little while here. We'll worry about 1996 after we take a break here and deal with the province of Michigan first.
Senator-elect Abraham, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations once again to both you and your wife, Jane.
Thank you.
Abraham and his wife, Jane, of course, are the parents of one-year-old twin daughters, one of which she was holding in her arms there.